Buenos dias, amigos! Welcome very much to another World Cup video. We are almost there. We still have a lot to talk about. Welcome, I'm Ezo here in Ezosu Football, and today we're going to talk about the neighboring nation to my own nation, Spain. And we all know Spain, one of the best teams in the world since I can remember. We got the World Cup run in 2010, the Euros in 2012, and from there on, Spain have been really good, not as good as those times, but they have been one of the best teams in the world with nobody can will go against your opinion if you claim that, and they've been very good while also being very unique, having very good identity. They are not what they used to be. They used to be very tiki-taka based, a lot of possession, a lot of passing. Now they still have that DNA in them, but they're more vertical and they go for more runs and they look for the goal a bit more. And today we're here to analyze their World Cup squad and to cast some predictions in how far they can go. By the way, leave a like and subscribe, leave a comment down below telling me who is your favorite World Cup team and how far do you think they will go and how far do you think Spain will go. Alright, so first let's talk about Spain. Overall, I think they're one of the best teams in the world right now. I think they have a great chance to win the World Cup. And I think they have one thing that no other team has. They are not dependent on individuality. They have great individuals, they have amazing players, but we all know how Spain is wired. It's about team, it's about connection, tactical. And for example, France is quite the opposite. They require heavily on individual talent to pull through, while Spain, they don't need to have the individual talent. They do, but they don't need to. And if their star players, Yamal, Nico Williams, Pedri, Rodri, if those players are not playing well, the whole team can come together and still come out on top with a good result and a good performance. Spain never plays poorly if you think about it. Yes, they don't win anything since 2012, but they always play well, they're always very tough to play against. I think their major disappointment recently was last year in 2025, where they lost the Nations League to Portugal, but that was on penalties, and Portugal is, or it was in that moment, in a momentum run, like reaffirming themselves as a great power. Now it's a bit different, right? Things have calmed down a little bit for the Portugal side. I don't know how that game would go if it was played right now. And I'm from Portugal, so we know a lot about Spain. They take a lot of our players to their league. One thing I don't really like is that it has nothing to do with the World Cup, but I hate when Athletic Madrid come to Portugal to pick like skillful players or like wingers or attackers, just for them to then not fit in Simeone's system, just for them to not have the work rate necessary to defend 90 minutes, and then they flop. Bro, most people will not remember this, but Gelson Martins from Sporting, I think it was the first time I was aware of this situation. He was a bowler for Sporting, destroying defenses in Portugal. Then he goes to Athletic Madrid because that makes a lot of sense. And it does from the club's perspective. Athletic Madrid, they need quality players to, when they have the chance to attack, to actually perform well. But in the player's perspective, it makes no sense because you're gonna play in a club that will not be using your most powerful skill 90% of the times. And then the most obvious right now is João Felix that went there, 120 million, crazy stuff, and then fart, right? And it's not the player's fault. It's really, I mean, kinda is, because they decided to go there, but it's the whole club mentality. Speaking about club mentality and about clubs in general, Spain has an insane amount of players playing in their own league, which is really good, really competitive. It was really crazy this year. Between sixth, I think, and last was like 8 points of difference or something like that, right until the end of the season. So it was really crazy. And Spain, they have a very complete roster. Might not have those crazy stars. They have one or two, Yamal, Pedri, maybe, but like it's solid. It's perhaps the most solid squad in the world. I don't think they have the best striker, the best goalkeeper, the best left back. For example, Portugal has the best left back, perhaps the best midfield. France has the best winger, the best striker. England has Kane as the best striker, right? Spain doesn't have any of that. They don't have any of those titles. They have Lamine Yamal being very close, right? But it's all about the team, like I mentioned before. Now, before we go into the squad, let's take a look at Spain's moment of form. Because everybody or at least people I've watched talking about Spain, they're kind of casting it off. Of course, I still respect Spain for what all they did in 2010, 2012, but some people are really like, yeah, they're saying they're the favorites, but not really. They're not taking this Spain side in consideration. That's the worst thing you can do. The worst thing you can do against Spain is not respect them, not see them as a powerful footballing nation. No, oh, they don't have the stars, they don't have these crazy good players. They do. They're just not so famous right now. And that's the thing. They have great players, skillful players that play in a very strong league. Perhaps they have the best group of players that play at the highest level. And we're going to see that later. And that is very important. Because in Portugal, for example, we have the Paris Saint-Germain quarteto, Nuno Mendes, Vitinha, João Neves, and Gonçalo Ramos. But then you have players that play in Portugal, in Turkey, in Saudi. You have players that play like in Italy, for example. Two of our wingers play in Italy, Rafael Leão and Francisco Conceição, which is not a very intense and fast-paced league. So we have a lot of players that are not into the rhythm. They are not into the intensity necessary to win a World Cup on their club form. Then they have like a little less than a month to prepare the games, and Portugal's game is like one of the last. I think Portugal is the before last group, so they actually have 1 month to prepare everything, because between the first game of the World Cup and Portugal's game, it should be like a week or more. So they have more time to prepare things, to bring them up to rhythm. You know what I'm saying? Well, if you look at Spain's team, I don't think they have anybody playing in a low rhythm, low quality league. And let's take a look at that. So, and I think people not talking about that. I think that's really, really important. Because some people kind of toss the La Liga aside, but I think it's the best second league in the world. It's very intense, it's very hard to compete. Why do you think Barcelona and Real Madrid are such good teams, and even Athletic? Because they have to compete against these sides. Like, they're mid-table clubs. Of course, they're not as good as England mid-table clubs, but they're, if you take England out of the picture, they're the best mid-legal clubs. They are like, Spain has the best clubs in the world, in general, if you take England out of the picture. And England's England because tons of money, right? And you really have to respect that. You really have to respect the intensity, the quality and technical level of the league. Some people will disrespect it because it's not the best defensive league in the world, which is true, but I think that's not so relevant, because I think they still have best defensive level than Spain, than France, for example, than some teams in Germany, for example, like we seen Frankfurt went to the final of the Europa League defending very poorly, for example. So I think people that discard the Spanish league and players that play there, they don't see the full picture. So now, before we think about how far Spain can go, let's look at their team. We have the chosen ones for the World Cup, and here, let's start with the goalkeepers, because they have great goalkeeping department. They have one of the best goalkeepers in the world, in my opinion, Raya, great for Arsenal, Champions League final, Premier League winner, really, really good keeper. He's just a little bit bad playing with the feet, even against Sporting. I remember watching that match and the commentators were like, you have to press Raya because you'll make mistakes. And it's true. Sometimes he's able to clear them and correct them many times, but in general, he does commit mistakes when under pressure. And I think for the most part in the World Cup, that will not be a problem, especially like in the group stage, because they're not really against teams that will press the high, but against France, against Portugal, against England, that might play a role. Then they have Juan Garcia, great goalkeeper for Barcelona, of course. And then you have Unai Simon, which has been the staple for Spain for the last years. But they have really a pickle here, like who's the best goalkeeper? I think it's Raya, then Garcia, then Simon. But Simon seems to be a bit more solid at times, and he already has the experience playing for the Spain national team. And now it's really like, who do you choose? I think it depends on the game. It depends on what type of strikers and wingers or attacking midfielders the enemy team has. Because you can play any of those three and they will play well. I think Unai Simon is a bit worse than it used to be. I would be starting Raya in all the games. But Garcia really has some good attributes on his side. He's the youngest of the goalkeepers as well. So he still has some future ahead of him. So maybe the national manager will be like, oh, I'll play these guys that are 30 and 28, and then you in the future can play more. Or, the youngsters always want to prove themselves and show they are better than the old heads. That can play a role. But I think goalkeeping, they might have the best goalkeepers in general. For real. Like the three goalkeepers are very good level. Simon, not so good, but for example, France, they have Mike Maignan, and that's kind of it. Portugal, Diogo Costa, and that's kind of it. England, very bad goalkeepers. Germany, they have very good goalkeepers as well, too. Keep that in mind. Brazil, they have Alisson, and then Anderson and Weverton, not so good. So I think Spain and maybe Germany have the best goalkeeper department in the whole competition, and that can be crucial because we're not just talking about injuries. Something might happen. Might be a red card, might be what you call in Portugal a frango, a chicken, where the ball, like they try to grab the ball and it slips through their hands and it goes to the goal, and that can perturb their mentality. It's okay. They have Garcia in the back, they have Simon in the back to come in and play as well. It's like I didn't thought about that actually before doing this video, but Spain in the goalkeeping department, top notch, maybe the best team in the world in that department. Now we'll go to the defense, and this defense is pretty good actually. This defense is pretty good. To be honest, I didn't know Kubarsi was 19 years of age. I thought he was older. That's insane. And I think here it's like one of those cases where the hype is not there for the defense of Spain, but it's solid and maybe the best defense in the competition. Kubarsi, Eric Garcia, they play together at Barca. They have chemistry and they are really good, really solid. La Liga champions, correct? Then we have Marc Pubil, which I actually don't know him. I have no idea if he plays well or not, but he plays from Athletic Madrid. So most likely he's great at defending. He's great at holding the pressure from the enemy team. So we gotta give them credit for that. Then we have Laporte with experience. I think Laporte was always very good. I think he was never able to show his full potential or to be recognized for that. But I think he's good. I think he's solid. He can bring a lot of experience to the team. For example, imagine him teaching Kubarsi what it means to play in the World Cup. You know what I'm saying? I think it's not as good as it used to be with Puyol, Piqué, Ramos. That was so crazy, right? Think about that. That the Spanish defense was so crazy back in the day. Talking about central backs, right? Damn, those were the times. Piqué and Sergio Ramos starting. That was crazy. But Kubarsi and Garcia are very, very good. Are they the best central backs in the world? No. Are they the best duo in the world? Perhaps, because of the chemistry that they bring from Barcelona, right? You have other teams like Portugal, they have Ruben Dias, and that's kind of it. France, you have Konate, and that's kind of it, because then the other central back is pretty good as well, but the chemistry is not there, the connection is not there. You know what I'm saying? And then I just really don't know if Laporte and Pubil will be good enough if they need to play, because they only have 4 central backs, if you think about it. So if one gets injured, they are forced to play another one and then have that in the bench. So Pubil and Laporte, if Garcia gets injured, if Kubarsi gets injured, one of them will be used in the field, another one is in the bench. And I don't know if they are good enough for that level. Pubil, I just don't know anything about him for real. Then Laporte is just a doubt. He's 32 already. He's playing in Spain, so it's still very good level of competition. And I trust him to do well. I just don't know how well he will do. I think this defense is alright. Pretty good, actually. Not alright. Better than alright, for sure. I think it's better than the Portugal defense. I think it's better than Brazil defense. I mean, they have Magalhães, Marquinhos, Bremer. I mean, Magalhães is better than Kubarsi and Garcia, but is Magalhães and Marquinhos better? I don't know. I don't think so. You can call me crazy on that, but I don't think so. I think the Spain defense is very, very solid. Now we go to the fullbacks, and here we have so much power. You have Cucurella, of course, which I don't know why people hate Cucurella so much. He's a bit annoying, but I have no reason to hate him. But a lot of people hate him. That's okay. You can do whatever you want. But then the real power, I think, is on Grimaldo and Pedro Porro. Both played in Portugal. Grimaldo for Benfica, Pedro Porro for Sporting. And I think they are amazing fullbacks. Grimaldo, technical, goes a lot into the middle, free kick master. Pedro Porro, just a machine, running down the right, super, super strong, coming back super quick as well. I think they should start those two, actually. Cucurella comes from the Chelsea mess, but he's very solid. He plays a lot under their manager already in Spain, so maybe he's gonna start him. I don't know if Grimaldo has the necessary experience to perform well at this World Cup, but for me it will be Grimaldo and Pedro Porro for sure. And then Llorente from Marcos Llorente from Atlético de Madrid is a bit. I mean, he's not bad, but he's also not that good. He's okay, he's alright. I think the starting fullback should be Grimaldo and Porro for sure. And I think that's a lot of quality. I don't think people are recognizing that quality on those two, but I know I've watched them play for a long time. Benfica played against Leverkusen in the Champions League. I was able to see Grimaldo playing pretty well. Pedro Porro, I mean, he comes from the Tottenham mess. If I'm talking bad about Cucurella because he comes from the Chelsea mess, well, Pedro Porro comes from the Tottenham mess, which was way worse than the Chelsea mess. So they have two fullbacks coming from not so good performance at the club, but I think they still very, very valuable. He's just like Llorente. I don't think he'll be good enough, but Cucurella good, Grimaldo good, Pedro Porro good, Llorente okay at least. He's not bad. Then we go to the midfield. And in the midfield, we have class. World class, I would say. We have Zubimendi, just in one of the best teams in the world. He plays super well for them. We have Rodri, that Ballon d'Or as well, 2 years ago. People still contest that. I agree it was a bit weird, but he's still pretty good. I think he's one of the best midfielders in the world. And then you have Pedri, Fabian Ruiz, Gavi. Michael Merino is a bit weird. He did have these moments for Arsenal, but I don't think he's like nearly close to the level of Spain has here. Zubimendi way better, Rodri way better, Pedri way better, Fabian Ruiz way better, Gavi didn't play a lot this season. I think he played like a very little amount of games. Yeah, he played 11 games this season. Yeah, I don't think that's a good choice. Brilliant player that only played 11 games the whole season. But I think he'll be a sub, right? I think if they play three midfielders, is Zubi, Rodri, and Pedri, or Rodri, Pedri, Fabian, or Fabian, Pedri, Zubimendi. It's like this midfield of Spain is outlandish. In general, in the whole picture, I think they have a better midfielder than Portugal. But if Portugal starts Vitinha, Bruno, and João Neves, I don't think they have a better trio. But in general, accounting for all the midfielders, they have it better. Way better. Way better. Like, they can bring in Gavi, they can bring Fabian as subs, for example. And that's way better than Ruben Neves or Samu Costa, for example, for Portugal. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of the picture here of this Spain national team. In it, it's like they have great sub goalkeepers, they have okay sub central backs, they have good sub fullbacks, amazing sub midfielders. So they have longevity, they have options, they have rotation power, and that's really, really important. So that midfield is class. I'm just a bit like Gavi and Michael Merino. I think had a bit of weird choices, but Michael Merino, it's like he can go and make goals. It can be that midfielder that makes runs into the box and then get goals, and that can be important. Because sometimes the midfielders are the ones unblocking the games, unlocking the scoreboard with a header, shot outside of the box. Maybe they don't make the goal themselves, but they make a run into the box that creates spaces for the wingers or the strikers to then get the goal. You know what I'm saying? And Michael Merino does that a lot, really, really well. And if you think about it, only Fabian Ruiz kind of does that. We saw that a lot versus Arsenal in the Champions League final, for example. He makes the runs, he creates spaces, but then Zubimendi stays back, Rodri stays back, Pedri stays back, and then Gavi is more a box to box, but he's still not that prolific into the box, while Merino does that together with Fabian Ruiz. That midfield is insane. Like, out of the question, the best, if not the second best, if not the best midfield in the whole competition. Then we'll go to the attack, which is not very prolific. They brought Vitor Munoz from Osasuna. That's epic, actually. 34 appearances, 6 goals, 2 assists. To be honest, I don't know much about him. He's mainly a left winger, but can play as striker or right winger as well. And it's cool to have him here. He's young, representing the league's country. And that attack is very good. Dani Olmo, I think he lost quality. He's still evaluated at 60 million, which I think is a bit crazy. To be honest, I'm not really aware of his stats. I don't think he's like as relevant as he used to be. 7 goals, 8 assists. That's pretty alright, actually. 8 assists, 7 goals in 33 games. It's a bit limited, I would say, but it's not bad for sure. I think another one that lost a bit of power is Nico Williams. I think he used to be way better. I think staying at Athletic Bilbao was a mistake. He didn't really grow much in the last years. 6 goals, 4 assists. In 25 games, so 10 goal contributions in 25 games is good. Don't get me wrong, but I just don't see that like quality that I mean, he's still there. I just don't think he's bringing it out. He's still very good. Like, you can't be like, oh, it's Nico. No, you have to respect him as well. He still can do very, very well. But I think even Yamal lost a bit of power and quality, or didn't grow as much as we were expecting. But things can always change, especially in World Cup, where the stakes are very, very high, right? And if Alex Baena from Athletic, being from Athletic, I mean, he can defend very well as well. Then we have Vitor Munoz from Osasuna. I don't know him very well. Then we have Yamal, of course. He had a bit of a not so good season, or not so good in comparison to his previous seasons, right? Because still 16 goals, 12. It's 28 goal contributions in 28 appearances, so that's crazy. He's still very, very good, but I don't think he is that star boy anymore. I don't think he has that pull, that astro like Ronaldo and Messi did, because people were saying he would reach those levels. It's okay, right? Growth is ups and downs, and he didn't went much down. He just like he's not as up as he used to be, but I think he can still ball. He had some injuries. He had some problems outside of the pitch that perturbed their mentality, or showed that he had a perturbed mentality, so that can play a role. Then you have Yerme Pinho, like very, very consistent for Crystal Palace. Very, very fast, very, very skillful. Ferran Torres. Wasn't he injured or something? People are talking about that, but he's really important. I think he scored a lot of goals for Barca this season. 16 goals, 2 assists. I mean, it's not that much. No, I was thinking about Fermin Lopez, I think, that scored a lot of goals. No. So there was a striker for Barca that was playing really well, scoring a lot of goals, and then got injured. I just don't remember who it was. Then you have Oyarzabal, which is very like unknown, but for the national team he plays really, really well. And then you have Borja Iglesias, which is an option. I would say he is an option, but why? Maybe he's like a different type of striker. Maybe he's like those tall, target forward type of player. He scored 14 goals, 2 assists, and 35 appearances, which is not bad, of course, but he's playing for Celta de Vigo, which is like not the best reputation, not the best pedigree. I think the starting will be Nico on the left, Lamine on the right, and Oyarzabal as a striker, maybe Ferran Torres, I think. And like, for an example, I think a lot of people will be like me. It's like they don't really know Baena, they don't really know Munoz, they don't really know Pinho, they don't really know Oyarzabal, they don't really know Iglesias, they don't really know Torres. Of course, everybody knows Nico and Yamal, but I think the other guys that we don't know very well are still very, very good. Like, really good. It's just like they don't play at the leagues that we pay attention to, or they don't make deep runs into Champions Leagues, but they're really good. So in general, I think Spain's best part are the goalkeeper department, the midfield, and I really like their fullbacks in Pedro Porro and Grimaldo. The attack is still very good with Yamal and Williams. Maybe they're lacking that very good striker, but like I told you before, they don't really need that star player to perform. They play very well as a team. And like I told you before also, look at this. They have one, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. 17 out of 26 players play in their own league. And then you have clubs like Arsenal, Crystal Palace, Tottenham, Leverkusen, Chelsea, that are the other clubs that are not from the Spanish league. So it's like really, really top level. I think the lowest pedigree will be Iglesias from Celta and Oyarzabal from Real Sociedad, but they win Copa del Rey, the Spanish FA Cup, and we already seen him play really, really well, making great combinations with his teammates in Spain. So I think he's really good. We have the pedigree, right? We have here the best clubs in the world in Barca, Arsenal, Leverkusen is not the best, but it's still very, very good. And then you have some youngsters coming in, right? Look at Nico, Munoz, Yamal, even Pino is 23 only. So the Spain team is insane. Then you have Cubaras with 19, you have Pedri 23, Gavi 21, you know, like Pubil 22, Garcia is 25, the other Garcia is also 25, the goalkeeper. You know what I'm saying? So it's like really, really good quality team, really, really solid. I think they can go really far, and I think they'll get a lot of people off guard. So, and here it's their group. Spain, Cape Verde, Saudi Arabia, and Uruguay. It's not an easy group. Uruguay, always hard to fight against. They have that South American blood to the maximum. They fight really hard. They're not as good as they used to be, of course, but they still have great players like Salazar, Darwin, Maxi Araujo from Sporting. And then you have Saudi Arabia, which has been becoming better and better. They beat Argentina in the last World Cup, if you remember, in the first game. And then we have Cape Verde. A lot of people are tossing out of the window already, but they are a good team. A lot of the players play in Portugal, so it's not the highest level, but it's not low as well. And as a team, they fight really hard as well. They're kind of like the Uruguay, not so much, but you see the picture, like the Uruguay from Africa, and they can create problems with their physicality, that African elements, in unpredictability, pace, strength, and just ability to change directions really quickly. And I think it's not an easy group for Spain. I still think they will top the group, but it can be difficult. If they don't pay attention to their opponents, they can struggle here. It's not an easy group. For example, here, Belgium, which is a worse team than Spain, got a way easier group. Of course, Iran is a very dangerous team, but I think Egypt and New Zealand are worse than Uruguay and Cape Verde. Yes, I'm saying it. Cape Verde is better than Egypt. I just think Egypt is like falling really, really low. They still have good players. Mahmouche, Salah, you know, that midfielder, which I forgot his name, but I think as a team, Cape Verde is better. Of course, I totally understand if you disagree with me. I will not die on this hill that Cape Verde is better than Egypt. This was just a comparison. But I think Spain has a great team. I think they can win it. Because I think it's very important, the team factor. I think they have a lot of players playing on high level. It's not like Portugal, like I told you, where they have players coming from Saudi. They have no players from Saudi. They have no players from like they have no players from non-top 5 leagues. They have players from Spain, England, Germany, and that's it. So all their players come from the 3 best leagues in the world, England being the best, Spain being the second, and Germany being the third. They have no players outside of top 3 best leagues in the world, and they only have one from Germany. So it's basically they all play in Spain or England, the 2 best leagues in the world. And that is important. And I think people are really not seeing the value and the power in this Spain squad, and they have to respect it more. They have to respect it more. Hopefully they go far, but they still lose to Portugal or to Brazil. Those are my teams that I'm supporting this year, Portugal and Brazil. And I think they can play really. I think they can beat any team if they can keep their stars under check and then bring their teamwork power to the front line. And here is the tier list I've been doing so far. I forgot to bring Brazil in here on the last video I made about this. I think Brazil is B tier. And it's not B tier as in the worst. It's like they're the best B tier. I just think their goalkeeper department, their fullback department is not so good. I mean, no. Brazil is A tier. No. Forget about it. Brazil is not B tier. Sorry. I just think their fullbacks are really bad, but their midfield is good, attack is crazy good, defense is solid. I don't think they have a better squad than Portugal, but they have the Brazilian magic. You always have to think about it. I don't know if you know this cartoon from back in the day called Galactic Football, where the players had like this aura, depending on what planet it was born. And yes, it was interplanetary football tournament. But Brazil kind of has that, Brazil has that flux, that flow, that energy flowing through them. And some of these teams don't. They can't access that flux. And I'm saying in Brazil, I think they always do. I just think that the flux has been hampering certain players like Vini crying, oh, the pressure is so much. Bro, it's Brazil. Você tem que encarar a pressão aí, cara. You have to use, like I said that in the video, you have to use that flux, not be used by it, not to be thrown down by it. And if Brazilian players can, because I think Brazil has the most powerful flux, the most powerful aura. If they can tap into it, like they're unstoppable. Joga bonito, magia, vamos brasa, né? You know what I'm saying? But let's play Spain here, and I will play Spain in Shadow S. What is Shadow S? It doesn't mean they are the worst team in S tier. It doesn't mean they are worse than France, for example. It just means that most people are not considering Spain as an S tier, but I am. Technical quality, teamwork, the level of the players and the leagues they come from, the chemistry. They have a lot of players from Barcelona, so the chemistry is insane. No players from Real Madrid though, because they're in a bit of a mess as well. I think Spain is S tier, like for real. I think Spain is S tier. A lot of people are not considering it. Once again, I think they are wrong. I think Spain will surprise a lot of people. I think Spain is better than Argentina, better than Portugal and Brazil. I think they're better than Germany, but Germany has the surprise factor because they've been bad for some time, and I think they can surprise a lot of people with Wirtz, Voltemade, for example. But I think speaking from my perspective right now, I think France and Spain are probably the only S tier teams, and you really need to pay attention to them. And Spain might be better than I think Spain is better than France. I think Spain is better than France because France you have one good goalkeeper, Spain has two, and then the third one is way better than the subs for France. I think the Spain defense is better in general. I think Spain midfield is way better than France midfield. The thing is, France attack is light years, not better, but more charismatic, more well known. And yes, they are better than the attack from Spain, but they're not that far away. Just people are just friends. Olise, Dembele, Doué, Barcola, Mbappé, Cherki. Yes. But Spain still has Yamal, Williams, Pino, Oyarzabal. They're not galactic like those guys are, but they're still very, very good. Let me know what you think about the rankings and my tier list so far. Let me know what you think about my team analysis of Spain. And I think they could go really far into the tournament. They can win the tournament. I think for me it's France and Spain, the ones with the most likelihood to win the World Cup 2026. Thank you very much for watching. Your support is greatly appreciated. Let me know what team you want to see me next here in this tournament description of the World Cup 2026. And I wish you the best thoughts, ideas, feelings, and emotions. And I wish to see you on the next time. Thank you for watching. Let's go World Cup. We're almost there.